Tell me your number one manager you had. Give me the profile of this individual. 3, 4, 5, 6 things you can think of. What made him so special? Number one, the best one.
Number one, absolute relentless communication with his employees. They knew what was going on. They felt part in a relationship in which the employees felt part. Was number one.
Okay.
Process management with employees involved in building the process.
Tell me what that means. Unpack that for me.
That means, in the book, a complaint and room service, slow room service. He goes to room service and says, the order taker, busboy, waiter, cook, find out the root cause, find the root cause why we have slow room service complaints. And the people connected to the process with the employees worked on it. I tell you his result. I tell you a result he had. That is unbelievable. When you start, you learn the second day the non-negotiables, which everybody gets in their pocket. If I catch somebody not carrying that in their pocket, I have a problem. General manager or dishwasher, I want you to carry it because that's who we are. And these are the non-negotiables. So.
May I?
Yeah, I give it to you as a gift. It's in my book, by the way. So.
I love it. This is the Capella?
Capella one.
Has it changed anything with Ritz?
Oh, sure.
So it's different than Ritz?
Yeah,
okay.
A little bit. And Ritz changed it after I left.
Well, I agree with you that it changed. So this goes to every employee?
Every single employee.
At Capella?
At Capella. When you start working, you get it in your hand. You learn it.
I want to go back to this number one manager of yours. So number one.
Wait, that's what I wanted to say.
Okay, go for it.
So when we took over that hotel, it was so strong a union. It was the worst employee survey and the worst guest customer survey ever had, New York. This manager got into New York, and the employees slowly adopted that. I tell you how well he changed it. 2 years later, the union contract was due. The employees insisted that the union adopt us. That's a general manager who was leading his people, who were part of the people.
For the union to adopt this?
That's right. The employees insisted on it. So what did he do? What did he really do? And that's what I'm appealing to every boss. He offered them to be part of something. Even Aristotle said, you cannot be fulfilled in life unless you have purpose and belonging. Why wouldn't we offer that to our employees? That is really my number one point. Offer them purpose, offer them belonging. Don't make them chairs. My maitre d', the first one, remember the one?
Mm-hmm.
When I left there after 3.5 years, he said, come here, look me in the eyes, promise me you never go to work. Promise you me not to become a chair.
This is when you're leaving?
When I'm leaving, 3.5 years later. No, I was 17.
This is the guy that impacted you heavily,
yeah.
not the GM, but the other guy.
Yes. Promise me you to become a chair. Because if you just go to work for the function that you fulfill, you're a chair, you're fulfilling a function. You have to have a high intent. The high intent is excellence in what you're doing.
Promise me you don't become a chair.
Yeah.
Okay, so relentless communication with employees, process management, root cause. What else made that number one?
Environment of belonging and purpose.
Got it. So those 3 things.
Yes.
Promise me you won't be a chair. Okay, so question for you.
And again, he was relentlessly working on all process and continuing on. He was constantly seeking, it's very important here. If a problem repeated itself, he was right away and said, okay, let's look at the process. Let's find the root cause. Why this process gone? A root cause analysis was his strength. And you know, here's the thing. If you find root cause of your mistakes, you become efficient because by eliminating the mistake, you improve the product and lower your cost instead of cost cutting, which means you take something away from the customer.
Question. This guy, who did he end up becoming?
He ended up becoming a vice president in the Beverly Hills Hilton for for those hotels. And he
Respect.
ran for many years. He just a year ago and so retired from there.
You still keep in contact?
Oh,
with him?
yes, absolutely.
So there's a friendship.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Incredible.
Well, friendship. Behind my back, some of those guys got together, created a reunion for me a few months ago, and people came from Europe and Asia and all over. They're all running major companies. I know what happened. The truth is, I know what happened. They got together and said, Horst is getting old. Let's get together before he dies. You know that is true.
But let me tell you, though. Let me tell you one thing, that this is very important for the audience to know this. You're 19, so you're how old? You're January 10th, so you just turned 87 3 weeks ago, right? Okay. So Matteo, he brings you in, and I said, how does he look and feel? He says, oh, he's so strong. I said, tell me why. He says, I tried to take the bag from him. He said, no, you can't take this back. There's a lot of money. I can carry it myself. Even at this age, with the level of intensity that you have, it's so impressive. So I got a question for you. There's a book that was written 5 years ago called After Steve. And the book is about after Steve Jobs, what happened to Apple, okay?
Yeah.
When Tim Cook took over. What happened to, when you left Ritz in the early 2000s, what happened to the standards after Horst? Were they able to maintain it?
Well, let me tell you one story. I have to be careful here because I signed that I would not make disparaging remarks. However,
20 years you got. That's a long
time ago. However, our most complimented non-negotiable in Ritz Carlton was number 16. It's number 12 on this
Capella,
one here.
Yeah.
And Capella. Escort guests until they are comfortable with the direction and make visual contact with their destination. Do not point. Okay, that was number 16. When that was the most complimented from the guest non-negotiable. People around said, I asked the front desk, I came from outside, and they walked me all the way there. I cannot believe it. When I left, they eliminated that one. Because it costs money to take somebody away from this.
Stop it.
The most complimented point by customers was eliminated. And I understand where I come from because nobody quite understood how deep those feelings were. It was just, wow, that's what we do. Nobody looked up for the analysis that was most complimented one.
Sure.
So, but altogether, who is rated number 1 today in the world? Capella. There's a company created afterwards. Where's Ritz in that analysis? 26. And those are facts. I can say facts here.
You were number 1 when you guys left.
Oh, sure.
They dropped from 1 to 26, and Capella's number 1.
Yeah.
How important was it for you to prove that even afterwards, you're going to continue, not stop?
I could do it anytime. I could do it. Forgive me, because I would concentrate on the human being and on the processes that I do. In the meantime, I would have to learn to even better select employees, be more respectful for them. And particularly, it's easier today because everybody complains about the millennials. But come on, learn how to handle them and do it.
I agree.
That's
I agree.
all.
It's a lot of time. Well, they've changed. They're lazy. They're this.
Come on.
Yeah, you become a softer leader.
You're the leader. You're the leader. You have to figure it out.
Yeah, I agree. It's crazy. When you read body language books, you know what they say about the lines in between the eyes?
Yeah.
Do you know what they say about it?
No.
Highly, highly intense, competitive individuals.
Okay.
And you have those 2 lines. You have those 2 lines right here is what you have. So you're a very rare combination of extremely charming, and you know it. You're very charming, very. And you have a fun side to you that it also feels like it's fun working with you. But my God, I feel the intensity and the seriousness that you're not going to compromise the standards for nothing. Yeah. Is that a fair assessment of you?
But let's face it, I have no moral right to compromise.
You have no moral right to compromise?
Of course not.
Tell me why.
I know my objective is good for all concerned. In that moment, I would be going against the owners, against the employees, against society, even against God, because I question myself, would God approve? I question myself very careful. Is my objective, would God approve? In that moment, I painted myself in a corner. I can't just compromise anymore. You know, that's one of the big problems with management. They want to be known as a nice guy. That's not my business. When they make a speech, I don't go into the speech so that people think I'm a nice guy. I go into the speech so that I give something. And what you think of about me, particularly my age, what are you going to do, fire me?
But when did you believe in yourself to know your philosophies worked? At what age were you bulletproof confidence that you know what you were doing?
When I went halfway through my time in Hyatt, I took the Worst Hotel and made it a major success, and I knew the philosophy works. It wasn't so much I'm the right thing, no, but the philosophy of respecting the employee and loving the employee and make sure they're aligned, but not compromising and understanding the market and pushing those things together. That in a board meeting is fluffy conversations. But the same people have egos and feelings and totally ignore the feeling of those two entities that make a company. If you have a business, here, you have a business here, Patrick. Walk in here at 3 o'clock in the morning. Is it a business? No, it's not. But now it is a business because you have people in here. So it is the people who make it a business.
Point.
I have to accept that.
Great point. Very good point. But so you were in your 40s when you realized you were bulletproof, like you're confident in your philosophy.
I was totally confident then because it worked. There were successes. And I knew in that moment I'm giving. I'm giving to people. I'm giving successes to people. You know, that is one of the honest, and we have to be conscious of that too. And I'm happy to be a believer. So what? And one of the key elements that and Jesus, forgive me that I touch on this for a moment, is love your neighbor as yourself. Wait a minute. Are your employees not your neighbors? Are your guests not your neighbors? They are my neighbors. Do I love them as myself? But I cannot single out one or the other. I have to love them as a whole, because otherwise I'm going against one and the other if I just single out.
When did Psalm 94 get a hold of you, that I'm going to take you under my wings? How old were you? You talked about Psalms 94 somewhere.
Well, growing up in a Lutheran church, which is very Bible-beating oriented, we had, for 3 years before you get confirmed with 14, you go to Bible class. The teacher, the pastor, gets to know you well, and when you get confirmed, gives you word for your life. And he gave me Psalms 91:4. He will take you under his wing.
91:4, got it.
Yeah. And it is hanging in my kitchen.
How old were you?
14.
At 14, he gave you that?
Yeah. And it was with me ever since. It is with me, and it's hanging in my kitchen.
Interesting. To know that he's with you, he has your back.
Yeah. And you know, and sometimes as a young man, and so on, I forgot it. But when something went wrong, I went to look and said, wait a minute, where are your wings?
Where have you been? I thought it was a promise.
Yeah.
That's funny. So now, building the business, you know, and by the way, it's funny when you say Ritz Carlton, it's clear because I go to Ritz a lot, but I had a bad experience with Ritz 2 months ago. And I said, I wonder if Horst would even allow something like this to happen. This doesn't make any sense to me. I went to an event, Ritz Carlton, every 3 to 6 months, we would do an event at the Fort Lauderdale Ritz. No problem. This last one we go there, my EA says, you know, they put us in a different room. I said, why is that? We booked this 30 days ago, 60 days ago. He said, I don't know. They put us in a bigger room. Well, I'm not looking for a bigger room. I want a smaller room because I put sticky pads on the wall because we're doing a strategy session with our executives. I want that room. They changed it last night. They can't do that. Well, I talked to the director. He said yes. I said, bring the director up. We get on the phone with the director right before the meeting. This is 7:57, and meeting starts at 8 o'clock. And the director's not coming upstairs. And finally, I'm like, it's been 13 minutes. Where is the director? I'm talking to the other two employees.
Wow.
Horst, I said I'm going to go see the director myself. I go downstairs. I'm at the front lobby at the Fort Lauderdale Ritz. He's behind the desk, and I see him. Finally, I say his name, and I said, I don't know what his name is. I can get it right now. I said, hey, Jose, are you going to make me stand here all the time, or are you going to come and talk to me? I've been asking you, why did you change my room? 30 seconds later, he comes out, and he's looking at me. I said, why did you change the room? I always get that room. Look, we just had to make the decision last night. I said, I'm going to go to the room right now to see if somebody else is there. You can't do that. So me and my security, Dan, who is somewhere around here.
I met him.
You met him. He's got the tattoos on the neck. So he looks like a very friendly guy. So we walk up to the room, and they're running after us. And I go in the room. Nobody's there. I said, why don't you give me the room? So then afterwards, I'm trying to find out what's going on here. One of the guys that works at Fort Lauderdale, Ritz, he comes up to me, he says, Patrick, I told them, don't change the room on Patrick. He's not going to like it because he follows the content. I said, I still want to know what happened here. Anyways, the room was given to a soccer team, whatever, because they were doing massages there and nobody was there. Remember, I booked this room.
Yeah.
It's the room I like, and I'm a be-back customer, right?
Sure. No
explanation, nothing. The next day, Rob, can you text Mateo? I want to make sure I give the right first names. I don't want to mess this up. So then the next day, Mateo calls me. He says, look at the email we just got. I said, what's the email? He says, they send us an email saying they apologize for what happened the day before, and they want to give us 50% of the cost for the room back. And I said, Mateo, I don't care about the money. I will never
and it's all or nothing.
I will never go to that Ritz Carlton in Fort Lauderdale ever again. I said, there is no way this is Horst's standards. So I'm telling him this. And they're going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And it was done. I was so disappointed. And you know what it made me think about? Here's what it made me think about. Here's a challenge, Horst, and you got to coach me through it. And I need your help with this. Hear me out. And you don't know where I'm going with this, but I think you'll see it here in a minute. I'm a founder of an insurance company. We built it. We grew it from 0 to 60,000 agents. We sold it. We changed a lot of people's lives, and we did something nobody thought was ever possible. Our mission statement in July of 2009, when I came up with it 2.5 months before I started the company, was saving America by bringing back the free enterprise system and hope to American families. And we took this concept. I was dressed as George Washington. My wife was dressed as Lady Liberty. We had a 40-foot Mount Rushmore on the stage, and we told everybody, we're going to save America, and we're going to help people through free enterprise, getting people to become insurance agents, building their business. We did something nobody thought was going to happen. One office, Northridge, 50 states, we grew it. I sold the company 3 years ago. I haven't been the CEO for 1 year. I'm gone, okay? The standards are the standards that you create.
Sure.
How do you deal with looking and seeing if those standards are being maintained or not by the leaders that come after you? How do you manage that yourself? Because I know just listening to you right now.
I got an email from a friend in Asia. It's on there about an experience in Ritz Carlton. And it gave me so much pain, still gives me pain. You cannot help it. Because if you have born an organization like you have, you give birth to that. You put pride and fulfillment into it. It's not a place, it's not a work, it's a fulfillment there. And then if it is totally mishandled, and here 20 some years later, I'm still hurt and in pain about it. I can't. I have a hard time. I try and I try not to stay in Ritz Carlton's because when you walk into it, I feel I'm a stranger. Some of them I walk into, I feel I'm home still. I'm home. Very few. Forgive me when I say those things. Ritz Carlton, don't sue me. But it is. If you have value in what you did, if it had a meaning, if it was a purpose, you cannot help but get hurt. Because that which you created, it is not different than if Picasso would sit there and you would scratch on his painting. He would be very hurt. It's his painting, it's his creation would be hurt. You cannot get away from that. And unless we just created a business, the heck with it. But if that business was created with a heart and with a soul, which hopefully we do as human beings, particularly as the creator, you get hurt. You cannot get away from that. I was so hurt a few days ago. And I got that email. And I was so hurt, I still have it on my phone. I was really hurt.
20 years later, you're still hurt.
Yeah. And I work sometimes, often in the one that you mentioned. Could it be any other brand? Yeah, it shouldn't be. It should be intense. I had a call one day from Shanghai, from a friend who walked into the Ritz Carlton, maybe when I was running Ritz Carlton, I said, I walked just in the Ritz Carlton. And darn it, I could have complied, not seen a sign, I would have known it's a Ritz Carlton. I could feel it. How people looked at me, how people say, sir, how people helped me. I would have known it's a Ritz Carlton unquestionably. That's what you want to create. That's it. But you can create that with a hardware store. You can create it with anything. That's what I mean. It's hospitality that makes a difference, and that makes a decision. It's not a product. By the way, hospitality, let's see what it is really. It's service. Everybody talk about is hospitality here. The first person who taught hospitality was Saint Benedict, the creator of the Benedict monasteries throughout Europe. He sent a letter to the head of his monasteries in the year 500 and said, if a guest arrives, treat him as if it was Jesus himself. In other words, treat everyone as if they were the most important people in the world. Yep. And he recommended, in fact, even if you're on a fast, break your fast if the guest by himself and have dinner with them, but after you wash their feet. Now, how close do we come for that? Why wouldn't we try and come close to that in businesses? Isn't that much more fulfilling for us rather than just fulfilling a function?
Yeah.
Success is built on how you think. Influence is built on how you show up. Every detail matters because presence speaks before you do. This is more than style. The future looks bright.
If you enjoyed this video, you want to watch more videos like this, click here. And if you want to watch the entire podcast, click here.